I was contemplating making video or not about this, but it's just why not? It's things they've done before, and why not speak about everything they try to manipulate me and torment me and create some weird manipulative ways of thinking about things. Now you see this kid, right? They of course did a pedophilia type of torture, but they didn't crank up the stimulation, the sexual stimulation. You see the little black girl. I told you that they do this thing where black little girls, right? Right now, as I'm speaking about it now, they're gonna start doing that. But it's the way they, as I'm saying, that this noise campaign, typical things. They use these tactics, right, where they try to make aggressive noise to make you accept these nonsensical things. Now you saw throughout the day the type of things they were doing. These people are truly wanting you to accept. You see this black little girl? They didn't give me any stimulation this time. But now what they did, it just made me think of when I was younger, when I was a kid, when I was in middle school, literally. And hopefully I can hear the door slamming because it's part of the ways they try to make me subscribe to it. But when I was a kid, literally 8th grade, they were trying to make me think of when my cousin was braiding my other cousin her hair, and making me think of the smell of the stuff they put in black people hair. So I'm black. I was raised around black people. My siblings were black, so they tried to make me look at her, make me remember the smell of what they put in her hair. Now I don't even know if that's what this is used on her, right? But they tried to make me think of that, and then tried to make me think of the damn thing I did. I tried to say, see, you smell, that's proof. Like, no, you're making me imagine these things. It's just delusional. Now what I did to myself as a kid is something they try to exaggerate. That's why there's noise campaign right now. I'm hearing like weird knocks. It's all tactics to try to get you to accept these things. I'm here via V2K. Somebody doing this while I'm talking, because they want me to subscribe to this. Now, like I said, I know what I did as a kid. There's something stupid I did as a child. It was nothing like, it was nothing that happened again. It was just a stupid thing. But they're trying to create a pattern. Say, black little girls, remember what you did as a kid? It's like, no. I know what I did stupidly, nothing, think twice. But you making me think of what the product they're putting in people's in this my cousin's hair or whatever. It's not gonna make me subscribe to these stimulations. No, I know what you're trying to say. You try to bring back to what I did as a kid. I didn't have these nasty stimulations you make me have, but I did something stupid as a kid who just turned 14 years old. But they're trying to create things. They try to create patterns that don't exist. Do you think I would look at this kid and be like, oh, the smell of the... No, I will not. But what they're doing today is they do this pedophilia type of torture, make me think that this is how I used to react to things when I was a kid, to try to make me subscribe to this pedophilia type of torture. Obviously, I know it's not true. First of all, I'm a grown adult. Now, let's not even call myself a man. I don't care about these BS things. They try to emasculate me. So I don't even care about the being a grown man. Like, I don't care. I'm a grown adult. You are trying to make me subscribe to these things, right? You who torture children, right? You who burn kids, who do these horrible things to children. You want me to think that this thing is happening to me naturally. Now, as I'm saying that, you hear more of this. You hear somebody say die in hell. This is somebody who's in a program that tortured children. They think that because they made me think of what product they put in this kid's hair or in black people's hair, I should not subscribe to these pedophilia things they do. It's pure illogical retardation. Now, of course, I know what I did as a kid. I understand. You're trying to create a pattern which is non-existent. But what you do is the pedophilia type of torture. And on top of that, you who making this noise campaign, who try to torment me, are in a program that torture children. And you somehow think that because I'm looking at this kid, and then you try to make me imagine the smell of the product they put in this kid's hair, I should subscribe to these pedophilia things they do to me. and tell me I'll die in hell. You're not living in heaven. You are torturing children and women. You do these horrible things to babies. You're involved in the foulest things, and you think that's because you make me think of the smell of what they put in this kid's hair. Mind you, it's not even in the hair of the black people, because I grew up with sisters and everything. So this is it's like that is proof that I should subscribe to this thing that you do to me. And they're like, no, we matched. You matched what? You made me imagine the smell of what they put in this hair. And it's like, no, that's proof. You illogical. You will never make me subscribe to this. I'd rather die in hell than try to delude myself in the fantasy you've created. Do you know I know you torture children, right? Do you understand that I know that you guys have done the horrible things to babies? Do you know that I know that you hurt children in your hell? So do you think that this nonsensicalness of trying to connect and manipulate me into subscribing that this thing that I'm experiencing today is happening in any ways organically or even is logical? No. To all my target individuals, they have no, it seems like everything can be created to make sense. It's not logical. They say, oh, black girl, oh, but remember the smell of the product they put in the hair? Remember when my older cousin was doing my little cousin hair? Do you remember that? You see, that's matching. It's like, what? You're saying that because I know the smell of the product they put in the hair of black people. I should be subscribing to the pedophilia things. My brain has gone to a level of retardation. It's illogical. They're trying to make me feel tense, nervous, and subscriptive. Do you think I will naturally look at this kid and be like, oh, the smell of when I remember when in middle school of when my cousin was doing my other little cousin. So when my older cousin was doing hair for my little cousin. Do you know the noise campaign they're slamming? This is the same people. They're trying to make me feel agitated, but they know I know they torture children. That's what they want to be like. Be very careful in the sense that I see them for what they do to children while they are here, quote unquote, matching. All the aggressive noises, illogical manipulations, in the midst of me being fully aware of what they do to children, which I've made a video that shows and depicts the torture they've done to children and they're doing to children, and they're trying to make me think of me as a kid and then try to somehow make me look at this kid. Imagine what her hair smell. Because when I was a kid, when they were doing the hair, they used to use this like oil thing to do the hair and say, no, there are. My friends, these people are delusional to think that I will not see them as people who torture children and think that this is something that's logical. This is illogical, is damn near spectrum-like individual. And look at this picture. Can you imagine that? Imagine that you look at this and they bring back, oh, but you remember you remember the smell of when they used to do the it's not even my niece, it's like the daughter of my cousin. Do you remember when they did their hair? You remember the smell? Yeah, we're proving. No, you're not. Now, what I did as a child is something I did once to myself. It was no stimulations. I will not smell the lotion or the whatever and get stimulation or whatever they're trying to create. This is something a kid can do as a child. Now, I'm talking to grown men and women who do the pedophilia type of torture and want me to be subscriptive to these things and try to somehow make me forget that I know they torture children and they have done the pedophilia type of torture. It's illogical. It's delusional. These people who are telling me to die in hell are in a program that torture, do horrible things to babies and children of all ages, renowned to do this pedophile type of torture, and try to somehow connect this current pedophile type of torture they do to me as a child, and use this grown trash that do this noise campaign to try to make me subscribe to these things. You've seen throughout the day the different manipulation they've done. I'm not even that frustrated or agitated. Just delude yourself like that and be seen by me. I will be quick to make you understand I'd rather die in hell than do what you do. Try to make a grown adult subscribe to the pedophile type of torture, make him think of some things as a kid that's not logical, and then say that's proof that what you're experiencing today is something that was there, but we resurfaced it, and you as a 30 plus man has been resurfaced, and we are not doing the pedophile type of torture that we've been doing to everybody else, but it's you when you were a child. Die in hell as we torture children and women around the world. To all my target individuals, these people have tortured children and women. They do the pedophile type of torture, and they are foul human beings. They live off reality they put together in so many illogical, irrational, nonsensical ways. The reality is they work for programs that manipulate people to think in these disgusting ways. They are trying to make you subscribe to anything they can and however they can. If that's my last words, those are worth saying. Because I will see this grown man who try to sound menacing as he said, die in hell, when I know that he's involved in the torture and tormenting of children, try to make me subscribe to this illogical thing. I know they're as trashy, and they just made me not too long ago try to make me subscribe to this thing that was just as illogical. Now they make me imagine the smell of what my older cousin was using to do the hair of the daughter of my other cousin. And because what I did as a child is something I did once, they try to create a way to make me believe that what I'm experiencing today, it's you when you were a kid. And they do these aggressive noises of bikes and everything else from people who are in a program that torture children. This is the reality they will day in and day out try to block out, as they try to find ways to manipulate me, to make sense of the manipulation they make me have today. Because they're saying, oh, what you experiencing today is you as a... No, it's like, what? You just made me imagine the smell of what? And the funny part is they turn off the pedophile stimulation they do and just make me think of the smell. Huh? Do you think I look at it, the smell of... What? It's illogical, but to them, they think that they can sell this fantasy. They can sell this reality. My death was signed in somewhere further from here. I have these people who've been shown to be renowned pedophiles in regard to tormenting and torturing people, even hurting children sexually. Now for me, they try to make me somehow connect what I'm experiencing today to me as a kid, which is on its own is as spectrum like as it gets. These people who know that I know they torture children want me to somehow ignore these things. Think of, you see, you remember the smell of when they were putting things in the hair of the daughter of your cousin? Yeah. Okay. And there is what? What you say? That there was lotion, pomade used for, or oil used for the, they don't even, it doesn't even make sense. Because what's happening is when they give me this nasty stimulation they have me to have today, they're like, oh no, it's you when you were a child. No, it's not me when I was a child. You're forcing me to have that. And they start with me as young as 14, just turned 14, and then it goes back to like me as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, to try to make me subscribe to what I'm experiencing today. And because I did something stupid that didn't take any of this nasty stimulation I'm experiencing, something stupid a kid did just turning 14 years old, they're trying to find ways to create this sensation that I'm experiencing today as me as a kid, as illogical as it is today, as illogical as it is to think of a way to connect these things together. You're 30-some-year adult. Let's connect to something that you experienced when you were a kid. This is not even something I experienced. It's something that's being manipulated. And now to try to make me subscribe that, no, it's something that you experience. Remember the smell of the kind of oil they used in the hair? You see, we matched. What? No, you just try to connect something with children. To do something or create something and then try to make me think of my time when I was that young so you can say, you see, that's the same thing as it's nonsensical. To all my target individual, see, these people are so desperate to make me subscribe to their pedophilia type of tormenting that at this point they're really doing everything possible to make me subscribe that what I'm experiencing today is something I experienced when I was a kid who just turned 14 years old in 8th grade. To them, that is the proof that what I'm experiencing today should be accepted. And they're like, kill yourself. No, live this life. Because I'd rather die in hell than be in a program that not only try to make adult people think in this illogical way, but on top of that, do the pedophilia type of torture, which they're renowned to be doing. And then let's not forget about the psychological manipulation they do to adults. What they do to children. These same people who are like dying in hell are people who are living in a heaven where they torture children and they're part of that program. Death comes to all of us. If I die in hell and you live like this, doing what you do to women, and be part of a program that does this to women and children, and just then delude themselves that this way of manipulating people is just something natural and should be accepted, and it's like, no, because we match it to you as a child in 8th grade, which on its own is as illogical as it gets, but to them it's like, oh. And it's like, you see now, but remember, you remember the smell, you remember the smell of this products they were putting in the hair of this kid. So remember, I was like, what? I'm not gonna let them live the fantasy. I know when I'm thinking about what I actually did as a kid is embarrassing, but I understand kids at that age can do something stupid. It didn't take, at least for me as a kid, it was just something stupid, impulsive, and just stupid. As a kid, they have to exaggerate this thing, try to create pattern. No, this is what kids can do at that age. They're kids. They do stupid things like that. Don't think twice. It's impulsive. It's not something. It's not a pattern thing. It's just something they do impulsively. Never think about it again. Now they're trying to create some kind of like ways of creating. Now you felt the sensation, and then try to go into me as young as 9 years old, 10 years old, to try to say, oh no, but that feeling is like what you felt kind of like 9. Then bring back is illogical. But to all my target individuals, stay strong and know that justice will be done. I will not let them live their fantasy wherever I end up dying, because they keep saying die in hell. Because what they're trying to do, they're going to frame me in different fashion. I don't know if they're going to say I did something to a child here, which somebody here, some kids is saying, oh, I'm going to be noble. I'm going to say something that you raped me. Some child. Others are saying they're going to implant child porn on my computer. I don't know what trash, but you understand, this is the kind of people who are protecting their community. Working in a program that torture children and women, force grown men and women to think in these disturbing ways. In my case, just try to say, no, we matched it. We resurfaced what you were feeling when you were a kid. To all my target individual, stay strong.
I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture, including the threat of planted dreams. And
I just can't take this whole thing into account so much. I make it so dramatic. It is dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophiles. Like this disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is. So I have no choice now but to acknowledge that there are people in my surroundings or whatever they're doing.
Specialized for each target. Most common examples include homosexual targets that are forced with voices that are derogatory to their lifestyle and similar mental images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
In 2015, I began to experience what some call V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as destructive and violent. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me, as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions, despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also worked with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their I also have had a couple of kids that experienced zaps of pain to their hands as they covered the sore spot with their other hand, saying, "Ouch," while the V2K in my head crotch and leaned forward in his chair. Then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, "Ow," while looking up at me. A while back, I had a 4-year-old client at my office who complained of disturbing sounds in his ears when none were around. It only happened as soon as he entered my office. Once he complained of a roaring, drilling construction sound in his ears that I then later heard myself when I got home as a form of V2K, and the V2K said that's what he heard, and put the child by their parents to their therapy sessions, which is something I encourage so that I can provide parent education on therapy techniques that they can implement at home to continue supporting and helping the child make more progress.
A decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss, unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss, and cancer. 2 of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy, with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
So you hear the testimony of this.
Talked back in my mind during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things that I cannot repeat it in this blog. You know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them, I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away from me and my family. Then said this: the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ass. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children.